Print, email, Facebook, Twitter, more retrenched 3 times. Surviving the redundancy rollercoaster. Work defines who we are. It consumes most of our time and gives us meaning and security. What happens when it's taken away? Melissa Green knows the heartache of joblessness better than most. She's been made redundant not once, but 3 times in her life. You go through the sadness, the anger, the loss of identity, Ms. Green says. And the career counselor who worked with Ms. Green has advice that may be invaluable for anyone at risk of being made redundant. Escorted from the building in the 12 months to February 2017, more than 300,000 Australians were retrenched, according to the most recent data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. ABS, Media Player, Space to Play, M to Mute, Left and Right to Seek, Ms. Green's last redundancy was in 2012, when she and 24 colleagues were told their jobs were disappearing in a restructuring at the NSW Department of Industry. It was like rats leaving a sinking ship, she says. She describes her second redundancy, in 2004, as an agonizing slow burn at the Sydney Convention Centre and Visitors Bureau, SCC, as her employer to ed and fro ed about whether money for her position would remain. But it was her first redundancy at Arnott's back in 1991 that devastated her most. On a Friday afternoon, a manager she'd once considered a friend shocked her with the news, then handed over a check. She was escorted from the building like a thief, carrying all her belongings in an old biscuit box. You feel like you're just unwanted garbage. It's just awful, she says. She says after 7 years working there, she was given no support and never heard from colleagues again. It took me a good 12 months to recover. I felt really betrayed, Ms. Green says. I really pulled my finger out. She says her second and third redundancies were handled better than the first. After her dismissal from the SCC, colleagues offered their support and the managing director became a referee. During her most recent redundancy, the NSW Department of Industry offered Ms. Green training in interviewing and resume writing, and she was told ahead of time when her job would end. I knew I had 3 months, and in that 3 months I really pulled my finger out and went and found a job, Ms. Green says. But one of the most invaluable resources to Melissa Green was an outplacement counsellor offered during her redundancy from the Convention Bureau. The career consultant, Jane Taylor, encouraged her to remain hopeful. How do we keep people optimistic? Good stories, says Ms. Taylor, sharing about the person last week who, after 50 applications, secured a role. That's really powerful in itself. While the counsellor says that moving forward has to come in large part from the individual themselves, Melissa Green believes she couldn't have recovered alone and encourages others facing joblessness to find help and guidance. There are a plethora of organisations out there that will help you, that you don't have to spend a lot of money on, she says. You can talk to somebody about how you feel and why you're angry. Job seekers take their skills for granted. Ms. Green's second and third redundancies were more bearable due to what she describes as the beauty of hindsight. By the third time I was made redundant, I really knew to brush it off and move on, she says. You know you'll come out of it and you will survive. This moment in time doesn't dictate your future. Career counsellor Jane Taylor says she encourages her clients to recognise their transferable skills, and not to take them for granted. Whether it's relationship building skills, whether it's listening skills, whether it's an ability to bring people on a journey, even commercial skills, she says. Ms. Green describes a process of taking on every opportunity, continually upskilling and becoming wiser with how she spent her payouts. She used the payout from her first redundancy to study human resource management at university as a mature age student. She took on temporary jobs, such as working as a typist at Sydney University, to give her purpose, motivate her to get out of bed and open her eyes to other opportunities in the workforce. Nothing ventured, nothing gained is my mentality in life, Ms. Green says. Melissa Green is now working as a volunteer and family room coordinator at Ronald McDonald House in Randwick, which supports sick children and their families. She says that too has given her perspective. I think the interaction with people who are going through possibly one of the worst stages of their lives always puts things into perspective, she says. She started the role in July 2017 and is in charge of about 170 volunteers who support families in the houses they stay in while their child's treatment is underway. We have families tell us all the time that it really makes a difference to their life because they are able to have that accommodation. She says the job is worth the pay cut. I love it. I bound out of bed. I really like the people I work